Morning.
Good morning. Morning, Chris. How are you?
On top of the world, Gloria. How are you?
Uh, I'm slightly tired this morning in the Hot Fuzz Village after
Yeah.
having a late night discussion, but apart from that, I'm tickety boo, as they say. How's your week been?
Um, from Monday to Sunday. I'm only
Good,
joking. Yeah.
good, good morning, everybody. I have to say, Mr. Shearer this morning is in a very jolly mood, which is lovely and uplifting. So, have you had a busy week with your
I have, yeah.
mediumship? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, we have to announce we are waiting for our guest to come online live, Nancy. However, there is possibly some technical issues from the other side of the USA. So you have me and Chris to start off with, and you may have me and Chris um, all through the show. It's live and it's now, and this is reality, and we go with the flow. So how's how's the mediumship going, Chris? I'm going to pick on you this morning, and you know why.
It's going good. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I saw you in a demonstration last week. My gosh, she was on fire.
No, it went really well. It went really well, that.
Sorry?
It went really well, that.
It did, didn't it? It was a
Yeah,
wonderful evening. It was a wonderful evening. And obviously, all the groups are going really well on Eternal Spirit Online, I have to say. They have on a Wednesday night demystifying interdimensional beings. Basically, it's a group, a closed group for experiencers of UFOs or abductions or other beings. So that's going really well. So there's a lot going on. It has been quite a busy week. I will give a sort of a preview of next week. Next week we have another amazing lady, and it's an honor to have her on the show as well. Will be Mary Rodwell. Mary Rodwell is the founder and principal of the Australian Close Encounter Resource Network. It's a mouthful, I know, guys. And she researches into extraterrestrial encounters and everything paranormal in that area. So that's going to be a lot of fun next week. So, Chris, it's me and you for the moment. What shall we discuss today? Good morning, everybody.
morning, viewers. It's not
Good
good, this
morning.
morning. I'm used to sitting here and being quiet. Where's
I
me
know.
go?
Are you saying I chat too much?
I've never
um,
seen it.
no, you've never seen it. Don't be brave. Not live on air. Not live on air, Chris. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I can go. The guest is not here at the moment. I can say good morning, Sarah, Jenny, Joanne, Maxine, Nikki. I got a thing in the way up there. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. We're live on YouTube. Your guest today, it may possibly be just Chris Shearer. I may just interview him. You look at that. He's very willing. Come on, guys. Do you want me to interview Chris Shearer? Yes. So good morning to you all. Well, Chris, what we can do, we can actually, the show is about everyone's personal experience and everyone's
Yeah.
personal journey. And I'm going to take this opportunity if, for technical reasons, we were unable to get our guest on. Where did it begin with you, Chris Shearer? Your spiritual journey?
Where do I start? About approximately 10 years ago, Gloria, properly.
Yeah.
I think I had moments when I was little and stuff, sensing things, but not really much. Psychic dream when I was 14, it came true, which was a bit bizarre. And then it was later on for me. So when I turned 30, I went on holiday. I was in Cyprus. And what was quite funny about this story is there was someone drunk underneath the balcony making a load of racket. So as you do, I went to the thing and said, "Shut up, yeah, beep." And then I went to bed. And just as I was about to drift off, someone shouted down my ear, external, I smell the blood of an Englishman. So it was even more comical. And I leapt out of bed white, as you can imagine. And then I realised now that was one of my guides. So he's given me a ticking off, really, because my guide was Greek. So it didn't go down too well because of where I was, and it's Turkish and Cypriot, but obviously it's similar, isn't it, in that sense? So that was me telling off first time from the spirit world, and then I went on from there. I was very skeptical, Gloria, to be honest with you. I was. Karen, my wife, was into the paranormal, and she'd watch her programs, and they've got the planchette and the Ouija board and the glass on the table and things like that. Yeah, they're pushing that, whatever. And then she used to go on ghost hunts, as they call them, or invests. So I gave in and I went with her, and I went to Morecambe Winter Gardens, and it was an old theatre, really nice building. And what an eye opener that was. So we went in there. They had a team, and I sort of joined the team for a night. And it was like scouts or something like that that had asked their team to take them round. So I became a member of the team, completely clueless, but a member of this team. And we went upstairs to top balcony, and we tried the Ouija board. Nothing was happening. So the medium that was with us said, "I think you're putting a subconscious protection over Chris here. I'll take him downstairs with another group and do some other exercises." So we went down and we went on this table, put the glass on, and it moved. There was four of us, and it moved shot towards me. So I looked at the medium and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then no sooner as I looked at her and said that, it shot back towards the lad that was sat opposite me. So I went, "Hang on a minute, what's going on here?" And then I sensed someone, I could feel someone touching my side, and it was a lady that had worked there. So I described her and everything, the gospel something, and then it went from there, really, Gloria. I had loads of experiences in that building. Some were a bit fearful.
It wasn't something that you seeked. It was just an experience when you was in Cyprus that kicked it off. And I've got to ask, when you was in Cyprus, were you abbreviated? Were you slightly drunk when this happened?
No, I was actually sober this time, Gloria.
You know why I'm asking, but hey ho. Wow. I mean, it's amazing.
Group, to cut it short, I went to, because obviously lots of things happened. It was like the floodgates opened, and they had banging noises, tapping noises. It sounded like crisp packets in the cupboard being scrumpled up. It's a bit weird. Seeing flashing lights, all sorts. And then I went to a development class to find out a bit more for me what was going on. Ellen Ashcroft, it was Rainbows and Butterflies, it was called at the time. And within 6 months, I booked a charity event myself, organised it, and got on the platform with 3 other mediums, and I was green before I got on. And then it went really well. So talk about putting yourself in the deep end. There was 90 people that was there for the audience.
Oh God! Wow. I'm going to say though, Chris. Obviously, there's so many different ways to come into mediumship, into spirituality. You hear them all. This is the first time I've heard of someone being on holiday in Cyprus, whatever, Trevor, and then boom. I mean, that's the first. I'm sure there's many more, but it's amazing how on each individual journey, how we come into our spiritual path. It's normally something, most of the time, you could either be like myself and the likes of Kate and that, you know, when your kids, they're there all the time, it's normal. Or it could be a passing of a loved one. Many don't even think about spirituality, consciousness, paranormal, until a loved one passes and all of a sudden, boom, they go online. In your case, you had to go to Cyprus.
I think the kidney transplant had a lot, like the kidney disease had a lot to do with my awakening.
I'm just looking at a message because we don't have our guest at the moment. I can go to the messages and share my attention. We have a Sarah Stirrup that's just messaged, but I don't believe he wasn't drunk. I agree. Sorry, Sarah. I agree. I don't believe he wasn't drunk either, and he knows why I'm saying that now. I got to ask Chris. Obviously, you know, I've started the experiences group on the Wednesday, and I'm an experiencer of the UFOs and abduction and all things paranormal that way. Way back, or recently, have you experienced anything? I mean, there's a difference between being a witness, so
Yeah.
you could witness a UFO, that's a witness.
Yeah.
And I don't like the word abduction. It was used way back in the day. It's experiences is an experience I prefer to be called. Have you ever, through your spiritual journey from Cyprus, I didn't say it, Sarah said it, drunk in Cyprus, not me, experienced anything other, like UFO, a craft, or anything like that, or experienced anything that you think was spirit? I'm not talking about the recent, I'm talking about through your life experience.
I've experienced, obviously, the recent, but before that, experience what I used to label a light being. And I never really saw them, but I felt them. So it was more of the feeling when they come in, which was completely different to connecting to someone's loved one. It was like an ice cold. It was just, it's hard to explain the feeling, but it was a completely different feeling to vibrational feeling to what someone's nan or someone's granddad.
I mean, the reason I'm asking, because from my perspective, my truth, and what I've researched and heard from other experiences, and we will be having in a couple of weeks Eric Mitchell, who had no inclination in UFO or experiences or abductions, raising his children. Out of the blue, it happened. However, it's always in hindsight when you experience, you think, oh, I remember that now. And it seems that, and why I'm asking, it seems at the moment, especially from the group that Eternal Spirit Online has just started, the group I run with Karen, the experiences, it seems to be the time for human beings are starting to say, well, you know what? I'm going to come out the closet. It's time to talk. It's time to share. I mean, it has been over the years. I mean, I'm not that old, but however, it has been over the years. It's always been about ufology, and never about the actual or the abductions or trying to put a negative connotation on, but it's never been about the individual experiences speaking out. When Mary Rodwell comes on, she's just been a trailblazer with experiences. She's been taking all the data, and so I'm looking at every time I speak to someone now, it's like, have you ever experienced? And they look at you going, you what? Have you ever experienced? But I would say, with knowing what's happened recently with you, there would have been previous.
I used to get the clicking noises. When I say a tap, it's more like a click. It's a hard one to explain, really, but it's like a clicking noise. So I did used to get that. That's gone on. That was years ago. I never saw anything.
But you heard.
I used to get that noise and quite often. And I saw the light language on the floor. I used to do that external. Now that I know it's light language, I never knew at the time.
No.
Just going a bit weird, to be honest. But schizophrenic, seeing this strange writing on the floor, across the floor, and things like that. But and that's probably what leads me to my recent experience where I got the mantis that came in and the reptilian that came in and said hello. A shapeshifter, which people have a bit of a negative spin, don't they, on shapeshifters? But mine isn't. But I do it. She appears as a female, to be honest, and then she changes form. But so more of a being in that sense, really.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, prompting, like when the group started, the experiencer group started last week, and prompting, and putting it in one thing that Eternal Spirit Online does, it makes it a safe group. And me and Karen, who run the group, we were amazed of the individual experiences in the room. who'd never had the opportunity. So maybe it's good that we can discuss this today. It's a topic that's coming up next week and the week after, and it's gonna roll with this. And say to our viewers and our guests and anyone listening in or YouTuber here, if you are an experiencer in any way, you're more than welcome to contact me or contact Open Minds or Chris, and just jump on board. It's time to share, as we couldn't before. And many experiences I found, and through my research now, it's like you're waking up to something you weren't quite sure about. I suppose it runs parallel with through mediumship, that you at the beginning you're not sure, you wasn't into it. So for me, it's like everything shifted. 1 minute it was all ufology. I actually pulled away from ufology. I pulled away a good few years ago because it wasn't about the experience, what all these people are experiencing. No one wanted to know, apart from Mary Rodwell, I must say. She's always been the front runner and things like that. And now it's totally different. Eric, who's coming on in a couple of weeks, he is of the same mindset. He started an experiencer group in America, just for experiencers, a safe group. So I think it's something that needs to come out, be shared, and allow people, because many times, and I've also heard, it's very similar to your recent experience, isn't it? You had a being come when you were first there, you were scared. Then after that, there was no fear. Okay. And then you realize it's a natural response, and I do say to everyone, especially like last week in the group, we still get called, tinfoil hats and things like that. However, 2 weeks ago, the Pentagon admitted, yes, there are craft. That's the first step. However, the experiencers have already had first contact. We're not waiting for a government to announce they're here. The experiencers know they're here, as you do yourself, and those in the group and around the world. There's millions. But I do feel, what can I say, the bigotry that goes against those that say, yes, I've experienced this. I've experienced being on a craft. I've experienced these beings. It's a safe time to do it, especially with the government in America. I mean, obviously, UK, we're always way behind. Now coming out. I don't follow American news, and I'm not waiting for them to disclose anything because I know it's the truth. It's my truth. And they can do what they want or say what they want or hide or not hide for whatever reason. It's my truth. And we are now connecting, me, you, and others, and Karen and Eternal Spirit Online with other experiences. And it's the same truth. So it's something I think I would welcome and say to our guests and viewers when they do watch this show, please contact me, contact us. Okay, I'm just going to can you see the feed? Jenny Margaret Parson, I have been seeing weird things recently. I'm dropping off to sleep, not fully asleep. And I've been seeing numbers, loads of numbers and shapes. And I also was in some way a war zone in the place I was in. Fallen. Okay, numbers. I've got to say, Jenny, there was a few in the group are getting numbers. Many are getting numbers. A lot of numbers. A lot of symbols. Obviously, Chris, you call them light codes. We had Dion the other week, who's coming back. The light codes. They're just names, so we can have a conversation about what the experience we're having. But yes, many. You're not the only one, Jenny, seeing the numbers. I did years ago. It was like the Matrix before the Matrix come out. I was constant numbers. It was just I had this thing with numbers, and I kept writing 0101, and it was binary numbers, and then it was astrophysics, and it was like whoa. At that point, it was a closed area that wasn't out for the senses. So If there's anyone else on the show today watching us that's had an experience, please come up and leave your message. Good morning, Emma Ward. So, Chris, okay, you've had recent experiences. Can you share with others, especially obviously the mediums or spiritual people that are watching? I remember this, but when you were doing your mediumship and then all of a sudden this other energy come through that was so different, do you recall that? And how it threw you? It threw your mediumship as well, didn't it, for a while? Yeah. And you were like, I can't do this no more. I can't do mediumship. No, I'm not interested. And that's what your mind was telling you. Could you explain how that transition went and then the mediumship come back, how it happened?
Yeah, probably. It caused confusion because when you connect and you're it's raising of the vibration, raising of the energy, and elevating higher to get this connection that comes in, or to have that experience. But it has a resistance because you get. I started channeling words, didn't I, Gloria, as you know, and I started getting the words, and I didn't know where it was coming from, and I thought, well, what's this about? And then I had that experience. When the experience came in, it was in my heart chakra, and it was like a resistance feeling, like I've been. If you imagine heartbreak and you're like that tense feeling that's there, that's how it was. And it kept putting an alter on my normal mediumship that I was used to, because I had a different connection that was coming in at a higher vibration to the one that I was trying to work with, and it was overlapping. And what it was wanting me to do was give more understanding and more, how to put it, more of a heartfelt wisdom type message, as opposed to I've got your loved one here and they look like this and this that and the other, and it was causing confusion because I was feeling more compelled to go with the vibration that was hitting me, as opposed to the vibration I'd become accustomed to and used to. How did I overcome it? It's a tricky one.
We did do a couple of meditations. I remember that.
Yeah, we did a couple of meditations. I think when I accepted it, I overcome it. Is the easy answer. I accepted that we are connected to everything. And within that everything, that oneness, there's so many different aspects, so many different perceptions, so many different manifestations that's been created for us to have an experience. So I allowed the experience.
I think the operative word there, I think, is allow, and that's what we talk about in the experiences group. It's about allowing it. Fear is just a thought. Fear doesn't exist unless you wish it to exist. Fear is just a belief system. Fear the unknown. Fear what you don't know. We've all been raised with that. But when you allow that, and you say, "Oh my God, that wasn't scary at all." I mean, I recently got back into. You may not know, but it's okay. It's Betty and Barney Hill, their abduction from many, many years ago. And I recently listened again to their the tapes, the hypnosis tapes and whatever, and how it started with the fear, and then the fear dissipated. And then later on in life, in their interviews, in their books, they said, no, there's a reason they're here. It wasn't what we thought they were doing. It wasn't negative. It wasn't. I think at the moment now, where these connections are coming in, like I would say with you, because I was around you at the time, it was just a few weeks that you went for, oh my God, until, it's cool, man. And you were coming out with, and identical to every other person talking about the same thing. That it's identical. It's about the one consciousness, about the explanation of why we're here and all that goes with it, and the physics and blah blah blah. And we could go on forever. I'm not gonna digress off. I'm looking on here, and Sarah Stirrup has said, I messaged Chris about it. I was a little scared, but I think that was because it's something new to me. And obviously,
she had a recent experience. She saw a figure of some type. It had long grey hair and glowing green eyes. I froze, couldn't move.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, it's initially, I mean, when I used to see what people label now, so I've seen all different types, from the small greys to the lighter to the blues. The recent Christmas, I had an experience of two with me in the room. When I first used to see them, I had in my mind there was ufology didn't exist. It wasn't in my consciousness. Nothing of aliens ever existed. So as I was seeing those that had passed as a child, I thought they were the same. It was just spirit, just looking a bit weird. Like, I used to call them midgets, midget old people, as a child, because I said, there's midgets. Because it wasn't in my conscious reality at that time. It wasn't to way down the line. I mean, I'm talking to my 30s that ufology come into my consciousness, and then I started, what is this? And then I remember the first time I connected, I saw it was Whitley Strieber and his book. I can't recall it, Communion or something. And I saw this grey. The ones I paint? Yeah. I saw it. This is long ago. And the fear, I'm going, oh my God, the fear was instant to shut me down. I was so scared. I'd had some memories, but normally I see them, then I don't recall what happens, and then I'm back, missing time. But it was his book. And I saw that and I was so scared. But I decided, let's go and look at this. Let's do some research and move on. And that's why I met online Eric Mitchell, who's coming onto the show. So I can understand Sarah's experience, and your experience, the first one. I went through it. But many experiencers will say, I will say I've never had a bad experience. I've had a shock, like you did. But it seems to be happening more and more and more, accelerating now in the people that we know, like Sarah's, and those in our group on a Wednesday night, the experiences, I'm going, oh my God, she's seen. He's seen. And if it hadn't been for the experiencers group for Eternal Spirit Online, if it hadn't been for that, we would not have got together and to share this. So it's everywhere you look, it's time to say, yeah, I'm an experiencer. It's my truth. Let's share it. Hold on, we've got another one here. Is there a reason why that happened?
Yeah.
Jenny, are you referring to which part of it? Please say, which part are you referring to, which context of the conversation? Is there a reason they're here, or is there a reason why it's accelerating? Please post, and we will try and answer, me and Chris. Oh, Sarah's on the ball. Yeah, it's a shock, isn't it? But yes, it is fascinating. I agree, Sarah. I don't know about you, Chris, but do you feel like when you experience something like this, you sort of go, I'm not this limited being. There's more to experience in life, that I'm told is a load of rubbish or mythology, and like it sort of expands your awareness, and life is like, wow, this is what it's about. Did you get that shift?
That's the shift you go through, because it's losing the belief systems that you've got installed in your well, we talk about chakras that are being your sacral chakra, where the rules and judgments are, but it's an energy point in itself. But that's what you're shifting. That's what your vibration. It's raising higher into the higher chakras to get a more of an understanding and stop the limitations, change the belief systems.
The limitations.
Have control and an expectation to them, because there's no expectation and there's no control.
No.
It's not about limited belief.
It's about allowing. I mean, we have to use terminologies in 3D 4 density.
Yeah.
We have to use terminologies, but basically, if we're going to deconstruct it even more, they're actually right next to us now, and it's just, we can call it dimensions, different dimensions. I've just seen Jenny's message. She said, seeing the numbers and symbols. The numbers and symbols are very much like the light codes. They're making a connection the way it's best with you. It's the first connection. It's like downloads. You don't need to understand what it is at the moment. You will know what it is when it's time to know. Oh, we have a cat in the house, not Oscar today. Hello, Catty. Hello. If you more that you allow the numbers and the symbols, just allow it to come. Keep writing it down if you can. We have many in the group that are writing this, avidly writing down numbers and symbols. Just allow it without an intention, without an outcome. And your individual truth, your path will become known to you. This is how it works. There is a collective truth. However, each one of us are experiencing it slightly different. So one earth and multiple worlds, so to speak.
It's just a vibrational frequency that you're picking up.
Yeah.
And then you will need an understanding. So it'll get shown in a number, because you know numbers here in our world. Yeah. And we know symbols as well, to be fair. We know shapes. We know symbols going back to the Egyptians and the hieroglyphics and things that was their language. So as the human race, if you like, we understand. Yeah. But it's not that you're reading, even though you're seeing the number, you're getting the numbers downloading, but it's the vibration and the frequency shift you're adapting to.
Yeah, I always use the analogy. We've all got different types of music genre, yeah? And so sometimes, I mean, I love Hans Zimmer. I just love Hans Zimmer. I love a lot of modern stuff, but, you know, I love Hans Zimmer. But we all have different genres of music. And sometimes you'll listen to that music, or you'll listen to something, and you don't even need the words. You connect on that vibration. It's the same thing with the different beings and the different civilizations. Whatever your truth, your path's going to be. But eventually it comes to the collective awakening. But we're all coming together now, yeah? And this is why it's, you know, there are more experiences coming online now. You're going online. I said the other night when I was in a group, you're all like lotus flowers, but inside that is the divine spark, the one, the consciousness, experience being a human being, and we each experience differently. And then as you start to, you can call it awakening, you can call it ascension, you can call it anything you want, God within, you are God, it doesn't matter. The petals of the lotus, which is the belief systems, start to fall away. And you'll find that with developing mediums. Yeah, because we say we're sort of divine beings having a human experience. We spoke of this before, but we don't deconstruct that. What does it mean? It means we're divine beings. We're energy, we're consciousness, whatever you want to call it. First, experiencing being a human being. First of all, you have to blend with that to say, oh, okay, so you're saying I'm not human. Well, you've just said you're a divine being, a conscious being, having a human experience. Yes. Listen to what you've just said. And then once you get that, then you totally understand. It's just a bit of introspection. You understand, oh, so that's how I can connect to spirit. And then as the more petals of your beliefs come away, this world of other dimensional beings has been hidden from humanity for a very long time. And now it's going to be known, and it is being known. As the petals and the belief systems, you know, drop away, you go, wow, I can connect to whether there are Arcturians, Palladians.
Do you know what, Gloria? I think it's because people have the perception that your loved ones, just take mediumship for example, that your loved ones come forward and go, "Hiya, it's Jack from the spirit world. How you doing? Just been down the pub." And, they don't speak in an English language. They speak on, and it's an energy to an energy. And then when you
what are we? What are we? We're energy.
So it's not a language form that we translate it into English or French or German because we need that communication understanding in this 3D world. But external to that, there is no language as such. They may have their own language, don't get me wrong, in different dimensions. I'm not disputing that, but for our understanding, it's energy. And an energy, to communicate with an energy, is just a frequency of light and sound, and the light and sound vibrates at a certain rate, and we pick up that frequency, and it gets shifted in our conscious state to allow a message to come forward. Now that could be with an angel, could be with an ascending master, could be with an alien. It doesn't matter what it is.
I mean, we have spoken that we're trying to drop. We can't help it. It's what we've been conditioned to say, alien, and we are trying now to say interdimensional beings. Because if you truly believe innately and you deconstruct yourself first, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Once you've deconstructed that, okay, so I'm really not human here. I'm experiencing being human. I'm experiencing all of these things in the now. But really, I'm an energy being. I'm life. I'm eternal. I'm part of the singularity, okay? And we're in a 3D, 4 density. And to experience being a human being, we have to have polarities. We have to have other. However, if we can recall that we are the singularity just having that experience, we have no issues with other civilizations. We have no issues with nothing, because everything else we perceive is the same as us, having an experience of either being an Arcturian, a Palladian, a spirit, the grandmother in spirit, experiencing that. And one thing I've been asked recently a lot, and it's come out of the Experiencer group, is why is this happening? Now, everybody, will have their own truth, and there's nothing wrong with your truth, okay? Your truth is your truth, and we respect each other's truth. However, my truth is, and I have no issue saying it out loud, is they are here to help us to remember. We came in with amnesia to experience a human experience. If we came in like the children are today, knowing who they are today knowing who they are, and we wouldn't have been able to experience the experience, okay? And through as you've got evolution of humanity, there's an evolution of consciousness. So it's got to the point now, they are here. If we choose, we have free will. If we want to stay in the human, we can stay and go through human suffering and all the boring, I've had enough of it, to be quite honest. I've, done it for too long. To assist, help us to remember who we are. And it's called, in my truth, to die before you die. With mediumship, when we do mediumship, we always say the human being transitions, they die, and then they realize their true self on the other side, who they truly are. They're not ill, are they? Then there's nothing wrong. They just love and light, and they couldn't be happier, and they don't want to come back, basically. That's how it has been. Now, as the consciousness has expanded, I mean, it's exponentially, it's like whoosh, since 2012. Now, what is happening, I use the terminology, you can die before you die, which means the dying of the identity, of the dying of your belief that you are a human being only, a piece of meat that come in, work 9 to 5, suffer everything in the world, everything, and then just disappear forever. Yeah? Die before you die. And you can still have the human experience of chatting to Chris, and everyone, live on the show, but being fully aware of who you are and sharing that with it. Does that make sense to everybody? Does it make sense to you, Chris?
It makes sense to me. Yeah. Do you know what was interesting? I've got even obviously we know that the prince passed away yesterday. But, one of the, I think it was a priest, or I don't know, it was a vicar or a priest, to be honest with you. I was listening to the interview, and he was on about Jesus and the resurrection, because we're at Easter. Yeah, and Jesus, to be fair, was a medium in his own right. But that's a different topic. But anyway, he actually called it. He said, even though he's left this world, yeah, he's transitioned to the end world. So if you think about the context of what he's saying there, really, even they are changing their viewpoints of understanding
exactly
with the shift, because they would never have used to say, and I picked up on it, I think they would never used to say there's an end world. Well, if you're saying there's an end world, you're saying there's something else.
I mean, the shift is happening individually first, on the singularity of each divine being, consciousness, experiencing being a human. That is the first. So this is happening first. We don't have to wait, as I said, for governments, institutions, police, school, or anybody. It's totally irrelevant, because they're all the same as us, and they're just playing the role. It's the role, the divine play. When that happens more and more in the individual, whether it's in the church, it doesn't matter, in the schools, in the government, or wherever, the more consciousness remembers who it is. I'm having a human experience. Wow. That's what Alan Watts meant. That's what Eckhart Tolle meant. That's what Moody went. And you can just go, that's what Jesus meant. The kingdom of God is within you. It's within you. Go in. He kept saying, will you go in? Will you go in? Yeah, it's in there. And then the limitations start to fall away, which are belief systems. Then when that happens, it goes into the collective. Now, this is happening globally, and I think the acceleration at the moment, I have never and I'm slightly old, darling, but in my life, this experience, I've never, we're not going there. I have never, in a short period of time, I'm talking within 2 years, I have witnessed more conscious beings awakening to who they truly are, or logging online, connecting, to the event, than I have prior to that. And more are talking messages. I'm seeing this being. I'm seeing this being. I'm seeing the planets. I'm seeing that's in 2 years. I've never seen it move. So the acceleration is exponential. It's not stopping. And I think the evidence, again, people say, well, where's your evidence? Well, the evidence is in my truth and my experience. And then I speak to another experiencer and another experience. It's the same evidence. It's a truth. And I would say, your truth is it's not happening. That's fine. You can not experience it. But trust me, you have no idea. If you don't want to believe it, don't. What you are missing. It's like Alice going down the rabbit hole. There is so much to Mother Earth. I'm speaking to a lady the other day, no names, and she spoke of the elementals, the fairies and the elemental beings. I remember being a child and seeing these, and obviously Irish background, the leprechauns and all that. And then later on in life, I was told none of that is true. It's all mythology. It's a load of rubbish. Don't you dare. This is it. Do as you're told. I'm hearing mature people, really intelligent. They're not smoking pot. They're not on drugs. They're not drunk. These are people saying, yes, I've experienced this. And it's just coming. I'm going, oh my God. And it also validates mine as well as the other.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able to have this conversation, say, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. So what I'm trying to share today, and I know Chris, you're with me on this, is that look at yourself. First of all, look at yourself, and we all have to do it. And I have to keep reminding myself, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Deconstruct that first. Allow what comes to come, and you will see the petals fall away of your belief systems. I am limited. I'm a limited being is one of the biggest, strongest. Let's keep you limited. That's working day by day, suffering. Let's keep you. It's that. That is a strong one, as well as the victimhood. When you realize who you are, if you're a divine spirit and you're connected to all these other, you are the universe. It's, quantum physics, science. I'm really trying to condense this to layman's. Is telling you you're all from the stars. We're all from the stars. We're all connected. And the fact is, how the hell are we connecting with the spirit that's just transitioned over? We have to be that spirit, that energy, to have a conversation where we know it's not language anymore. It's only language in 3D for density. It's only language there. So we're coming, I think, in my personal truth, and it's just my personal truth, the experience of being an experiencer, having contact, now makes sense with the beings. So if you isolate an abduction or an experiencer in one and don't have the other part to it, the deconstruction of who you are, it's not going to make sense. There'll be fear. There'll be, no, I don't believe it. It can't be true. Why can't it be true? Because my religion and my government have told me it's not true, so it's not true. Okay? Once you deconstruct the self, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, they will blend together and you'll realize you are unlimited.
Yeah.
This is going to happen whether in June the American government put it all out there or not. It's already happening now. They're here and they're among us. And people are seeing them. They're in all these groups around the world. And you've got the likes of the lady earlier on, I think it was Jenny, seeing the codes coming in, the numbers. All these people are, and we've got Karen as well, who's getting all these light codes coming down. Why am I getting them? They're just coming. People that have had no interest in ufology, no interest in aliens, none. It wasn't in their context at all. It wasn't in their experience. And they say, what's going on? Very similar, I suppose, to Sarah and her first experience. So look at yourself first, deconstruct you. Before you give it lip service and say, yes, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Before, deconstruct that. What does that actually mean? So who are you? So Chris Shearer, I could say to you, you'll say to me rather, I'm a spiritual being, Gloria, having a human experience. And then I would come and say, well, who are you then? Because you're not human.
I am everything. I am you, you are me. I am a collective part of all.
Yeah, let's have a look.
It's always in the now.
I'm just trying to go on the feed. I think we're doing very well guesting each other, aren't we, for the show today? We did. I do apologise. Obviously, we've got some technical issues with America, and it is live stream. It's not a problem. If it's not a problem at all, and hopefully we'll get Nancy on the show another day. It could be to do with times. Let's see what's going on here.
Reading what Nicholas put, the truth is, in reality, is everyone is awake to what they want to be awoken to. So it matters not what their belief is, what my belief is, what Gloria's belief is, what your belief is. It's about we're here to experience whatever we need to experience along this journey to become. It's like we're on a journey back from home, back to home. But we've got so many parallels in between. So it doesn't matter what the other person. So we can't. It's not for us to say they're not awake because
No,
they're happy having
can't
this,
say that.
the experience that they're having. They're still awake. They're still awake.
Oscar's awake.
They're still awake because
Yeah.
there's still that being inside that
Yeah.
human experience. So it's just
Yeah.
they're not. There's a choice.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think what's happening now, consciousness, the singularity of consciousness, which we know, that has to be said. There's no holding back. When consciousness, God, divine, Christ consciousness, whatever is your way to be descriptive about this experience, human experience, because we are the singularity, the one.
Yeah.
When consciousness, and especially at this point, starts to awaken, it awakens everywhere. So it doesn't. No one's not awake. Each, as I said, in 3D, to experience 3D human experience, you have to have polarity. You have to have up, down, right, left, and blah, blah, blah. Diversities, judgments, beliefs, you have to. And however, if consciousness is awakening to remember, wow, what a journey. That I really enjoyed that. As Alan Watts used to say, imagine you could go to sleep at night and you can say, right, I'm going to have a dream that I'm a mountain skier, and you go and have a fantastic dream. For 75 years, you're this sports person, you're skiing, and then boom, you come back and you go, but you knew you were the one consciousness experiencing that experience. I'm only paraphrasing. I mean, when Alan Watts does it, it's just fantastic. And then he goes and says, right, I'm going to be a bit more daredevil now. I'm going to maybe go in and fight a war and see what that feels like, that experience. And you come back in and you spend another 40 years, you're fighting in a war zone, and boom, you're back to your singularity. And then one day you find yourself sitting doing a live TV chat show with Chris Shearer because you chose to experience it. And then he actually says, then you wake up and you realize you are God with a little g. You're part of the divine, experiencing. So there's many analogies to come in, and not one analogy works with everybody. Yeah. And I truly believe, I found through teaching this, the only way for each individual human consciousness, their experiences, is to deconstruct that lip service you give. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Investigate it. Be a detective. Be a criminologist. And say, what actually am I stating here? Go into yourself. Once you've gone there, then you look at another person. You never say they're not awake. You know who they are. Their consciousness having a human experience. And then with others, there is more than, the civilizations are vast, but we were unaware with the amnesia. As consciousness, Gloria's not waking up and Chris is not waking up. There is no such thing as that part of it. But consciousness within Gloria and Chris is remembering, not waking.
Becoming aware.
There is beings, and then they come through, and then it goes vast.
Yeah.
So you cannot judge another person, another human being. You cannot. You can't do it. You may not like their behavior and choose not to focus your attention on them and say, oops, I can't be around you. Yeah. But you know who they are. So you stop the judgment. And this is another thing. You must stop judging another. Stop it. You're still going to wake up anyway. You're still going to remember who you are in the end. However, if you want to stop that resistance now, because what you resist will persist. It's always going to persist. You resist it, it persists. Look within yourself. And then you find, I can't say anything. I know what they're doing. They're having an experience, and this is their experience. So, it's, sorry, I've chatted forever. You know me, when I get on this topic, I love going. Where are we? What I'm saying is that when hardships happen, even that soul experience of the hardship, although at the time the soul may not be. Yes, I mean, we basically, another way I can put it is, when we experience trauma and we're not aware, but if we believe we are human beings only, limited, meat-based, to be told what to do, where to go, and all that sort of thing, and there's nothing, and this God is sitting out there somewhere, and he's going to pick and choose on a roulette wheel who shall have a nice afterlife and who's not. If that is your belief, that's perfect belief for you. That's your chosen journey and your human experience. Okay. Whatever your individual belief is, whether you believe it's the soul, whether you believe this, it's a truth. It's your truth. You don't have to agree with my truth. If you resonate with what you've just said, it's your truth and it's correct. And we're not all going to come to remembering who we are from the same way. It's going to be multiple billions and billions. That's the excitement of it. And you can look at another who may be going through something, and you just send unconditional love. Oh my God, they're just starting to realize who they are. You're so happy for them. You know, like spiritual people, we say, excuse you, Chris,
Sorry.
you know, when someone's passing and, you know, they're in a lot of pain, physical pain, and they're passing and they're going through that. Mediums, spiritual people will say, you know, no more suffering. They're back home. It's, you know, it's a process the organic body has to go through. So it's the same with every journey. The singularity in each human being has to experience what they chose. By the way, you chose. I'm so sorry. You chose to experience. You know, and so your truth is that way. All I can say is, if anything resonates today, you know, with you, then go with it. And if it doesn't, then that's perfectly fine. And me and Chris, thank you very much for listening for our truth, and our perspective. I mean, Chris, we don't agree on everything, do we?
No.
I mean, Chris thinks I talk too much. I don't agree with him.
I'm quite happy you talk too much today, Gloria, believe me.
I know you are, Chris. We won't say why, will we?
But hardship in itself is an experience that creates an understanding on its own as well. So that's why we have to. That's why we create everything that we become by a belief system that we invest in when we come into this world, this experience. But hardship still gives you an understanding. So there is no right or wrong. No. Therefore, there is no judgment. And I think that's the reality of seeing that makes the difference. And when you shift in your awareness, you shift in a conscious state of being, and you look more inward. And when you look more inward, you understand that it's about being true to yourself. And when you're true to yourself and have an understanding of that, you can, as a collective, to the next person and the next person, because we're all connected with each other, we create a better experience for all, not just the individual. But we still have to have, we created a cause and effect in our reality. So because of that cause and effect, we have to have a balance. And that balance is going to be in a perception of bad or good. So that means hardships, that means losses, that means struggles. And that's what's going on within that creation. So at any time within our experience of this journey, we all will have some understanding of that. Because we'll have experienced it. And it's same with when you become the medium and you become looking inwards and you become more aware and more consciously aware. You're there to help the others evolve, but at the right pace for themselves to create a better life of understanding of what's going on.
I I do agree with you on that one. I'm going to, my last few words is
That's a belief still.
yeah, my truth, and if I could share anything with anyone, is to say, please find out who you truly are first. You have belief systems, we've all got them already, and they stay with us. I've still got many, trust me. Others know that. And find out who you are first. When you say your spiritual being or your consciousness or your Christ consciousness or your divine consciousness or your God, having a human experience, and you do make this statement, I'm calling everyone out on this statement now today.
Yeah.
Deconstruct it.
And you know what I like as well, Gloria? Nicola, and you're not on your own, Nicola, so I'm not picking on you. We all judge. And
Yes.
you know what? We all have a view and a perception that judging is wrong, all right. But judging is a necessity because it's an inbuilt within the experience of creation. That
we wouldn't have an experience as a human, would we?
Yeah.
No,
so we have to
experience.
have judgment.
Yes.
It's when you become more consciously aware, more you shift your consciousness, you get an understanding of that judgment is okay. Stop seeing it as a right or a wrong. Stop seeing it as a bad or a good. It is what it is, and just enjoy that experience and allow it and just be. Because when we do that, we become compassionate. We become understanding of the next fellow being that's with us, and then the judgment will naturally disperse and be lost as opposed to forced.
Yeah.
We won't see it's just a word. It's a label. We will start to lose the labels, and the perceptions will start to change. And the manifestation will change as well with that for another experience. Because
I would say, Chris, to medium. Have you ever heard a spirit judge anyone?
No, they don't.
They don't judge. They don't have the human experience anymore. They don't judge. Anyway, we've gone on. We've had a wonderful show, have we not? Interviewing each other, Chris Shearer. We do hope everyone's enjoyed the show today.
It was nice for the questions and the.
It's been wonderful. It's been an interactive day today.
Yeah.
Before I hold on a second. Before we close, I would just like to mention again. Hopefully next week, because it's America, we'll be live at 10 o'clock. We're hoping the connection will be okay. We had technical problems today. Is Mary Rodwell? I've got to say, Mary Rodwell is the founder and principal of the Australian Close Encounters Resource Network, ACERN. She's a co-founder and director of the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. It's called FREE. And hopefully, technology will be on our side next week. If not, you get me and Chris again, and we're more likely to continue with this topic. We thank you all for participating today. Please share our links, put it out there. You never know. It might sort of assist someone who's experiencing, especially what the topic today, of other dimensional beings or ET, UFOs. And please, if you wish to share, let me know. Just contact me. Just let me know if you wish to share. If you are an experiencer, because it's the time now for the experiencers to speak. And it's okay to be an experiencer, it's not taboo. Chris, now, what a show. We never saw this coming, so we're obviously not psychic. We did actually, didn't we? We did have we had an inkling. Is that's just for our ego talking there? Yes, we knew this was going to happen. But we weren't sure. Let's be honest, we weren't sure. It's been a great show. It's been lovely to have a conversation with you, Chris.
Yeah, me too.
It's been brilliant, and it's the type of conversations we normally have privately anyway, isn't it? So we've publicly gone out there with a private conversation. This is what me and Chris talk about all the time. He doesn't shut up, obviously, and we look forward to seeing everyone next week. And thank you, because without you there wouldn't be a show. And I am ready to say to Chris, from the Hot Fuzz Village, it's good night from him.
And it's good night from her. And it's good night from us.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Thanks for watching us today. Bye. Bye. Oh.